Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk about an important topic in agriculture, Darren. It's re-entry intervals.
Well, it is really important for your safety. And this is one of the things when we're using different pesticides out in the field. For the most part, the ones that we're using in our country are really pretty safe to humans. However, when they're fresh and they've just been sprayed out there, they need a little bit of time to soak in and dry off in the field so you aren't walking through and brushing them all off on your clothes or something like that. So we have something called the re-entry interval with different pesticides. Now with some it may be absolutely zero. You could spray it and get right out there, but with others you may have to wait a day or two.
Yeah, so what it comes down to is how safe is that product, and then beyond that it's how much testing has the company done before that product has gotten labeled. So for example, you might find that we've got a product called Tempo that is a pyrethroid that we like to spray around our house. We also have a product called Silencer that has the same chemical family in it, but if I was to spray that out in some grasslands, the re-entry interval is different even though they're the same chemical family, two different names of products, but they're basically the same. So why would the re-entry interval be different?
Well, because products have different uses, and here's one of the big things that we find in agriculture. There may be a crop that requires a lot of hand labor, like a vegetable crop, for example. And there may be another crop, like a field crop, that we're just going to drive a tractor through and not come back for a week. You know, a chemical company getting a product labeled in that situation may say, I don't really care if my re-entry interval is any less than a week because farmers aren't typically coming back for at least a week after that application.
But that's the whole key. You mentioned the chemical company. It's how much testing they want to go through, what they want to get the label for, and basically they have to spend a whole bunch more money and do a bunch more tests to get a very narrow window for re-entry, as opposed to if they have a long re-entry interval. So you might see some products that have a 3-day or a 7-day re-entry interval that aren't any more dangerous than products that you can re-enter as soon as the product is dried. But the label is the law, so you want to always look at the label of whatever product you're spraying and make sure that you don't re-enter that field until the re-entry interval says it's safe.
Well, and here's the thing, you know, when we're looking at modern day society, I don't want to walk in a field if a product label says, you know, Darren, you shouldn't be in there for a week after spraying. I'm going to wait the week. Why take the chance? It's really not worth it. And you know what? The chance is really pretty low. The risk is normally pretty low with the products that we're using in our country. What you'll see, for example, in fields where there's a lot of hand labor, like for example, production seed corn. We see a lot of detasseling crews coming into those fields. What you'll often see at the end of the fields is posted signs whenever something is applied to that field. That way, if a detasseling crew shows up and unexpectedly the agronomist for that field had to spray an insecticide the day before because there was a bug outbreak, now he posts warnings at the end of the field that, hey guys, you can't come in here for a few days. We just sprayed for bugs. You're going to have to go to a different field.
And the responsibility for that posting is on the applicator. Whoever applies that product, it's their responsibility to read the label first, understand what the re-entry interval means, and then post that particular field so there is no risk. Now, when you're a single operator, let's say you farm all by yourself, you're the only one who legally should be in your fields in the first place, you don't have to go posting things. But if you do have other workers that could be coming onto your fields, then you need to post it.
Well, the other thing too to think about with re-entry intervals is, you know, we're not talking about the length of control of some of these products, because sometimes I hear people say, well, wow, the re-entry interval is a full week there. I must have a week-long killing residual. No, not necessarily. You may just kill the bugs that are there that instant, or the weeds that were there that day, and new ones may pop up tomorrow, and it may have no activity on them. It may be safe for you to be in there right after the application. However, again, it's not labeled. The chemical companies have either not spent the money to determine that it is safe at that short an interval, or it just isn't safe. So don't take any chances when it comes to re-entry intervals.
Well, another thing you don't want to take any chances with is our Weed of the Week. Can you identify this week's weed?